at our feet. Moses mantle-handed dust and heat.
Human beings have always faced the same ancient pattern. Chaos ahead, loss behind, and a voice insisting that courage is not optional. In Joshua, he inherits a nation, a mission, and a burden he never really asked for. And the divine response is repeated, almost incessantly. Chazak ve'hamatz. Be strong and of good courage. In this chapter, it isn't about leadership. It's about becoming the kind of person who can bear the weight of destiny. Welcome to Come Listen With Me. My name is Ricky Black, aka Elder Eliezer, and today is our Monday, May 18th reading of Joshua, chapter 1, in our ongoing 2026 Come Follow Me study of the Old Testament. And this is day 1 of week 21, entitled Be Strong and of Good Courage. The Book of Conquest. The book that opens with a man stepping into the largest office in Israel and being told 4 separate times in a single chapter what kind of person that office requires. Now, before we read, I want to take a moment to acknowledge our Heavenly Father. The same God who stood with Moses for 40 years stands with Joshua today at the river's edge. The same God who walked with Yehoshua, leading his people into their inheritance, walks with us in the person of his Son, Yeshua, Jesus, leading us into ours. So let us be strong and of good courage as we cross new thresholds in our own lives. Not bravery as a feeling, but the willingness to step forward into the uncertain ground because he is who he says he is, and because you are who he knows you can be. So let's open our hearts to receive his word today and commit to read, to seek, to pray, and to learn, all in the name of Yehoshua, Jesus Christ. With that, let's come listen together. Now, since we don't want to read passively, just checking off boxes, we want to read with intent. So here's a few questions to keep our attention focused as we go through Joshua chapter 1 today. So first up, when a command is repeated, especially in a text this old, it's not an accident. It's a diagnostic in nature. It tells you something about the human condition. So as you read, notice how often the line appears, be strong and of good courage. And pay attention to who says it and to whom, because repetition like that usually means someone needs to hear it more than once, or maybe for multiple different reasons. And here's something subtle but profound. Every time the command shows up, it's attached to a different responsibility. Courage isn't presented as a vague feeling. It's tied to action, to duty, to movement into the unknown. So watch how the command shifts, right? Each repetition sharpens the task, as if God is saying, courage isn't one thing, it's everything you must do next. And finally, pay attention to the flow of speech in this chapter. There is an order to it, a hierarchy of communication. And it moves from God to Joshua, and then from Joshua to the people. But at the end, something remarkable happens. You see, the people, they're going to speak back. And so the direction reverses. And the reversal tells you something really essential about leadership, loyalty, and the shared weight of responsibility. See if you can see it through the lines and verses today. All right. And with that, let's go ahead and hold these questions and thoughts lightly as we read and see if it helps open up our study a little more. So let's go ahead and open to Joshua chapter 1. And today we are going to start off by reading verses 1 through 5. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea towards the going down of the sun, shall be your coast. There shall be not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. So, the narrative begins with a stark fact. right? Moses is dead. He's passed on. And the text doesn't linger on sentiment. It just moves immediately to command. Now, that's significant because in the ancient world, the death of a leader usually meant chaos, right? A vacuum sometimes for years. But here, the story refuses that drift into disorder that is common, right? Joshua has been prepared for decades, and he's not improvising a role. Like, he's stepping into one that's been waiting for him. And the first imperative is blunt. Arise. Go over this Jordan. Stand up. Move forward. It's the psychological demand placed on anyone who inherits responsibility after loss. And then the land of promise is invoked, right? The same promise given to Abraham centuries earlier. It's a promise waiting for someone to actually walk it. So Joshua is being told, your feet will do what Abraham's never did. That is a staggering burden of continuity there, right? And then the personal promise, I will not fail you nor forsake you. So this isn't a general assurance to the nation, right? It's actually directed at the man who now carries the weight and burden of that nation. In Hebrews, later, it reaches back to this moment, and it'll say, the same promise still stands for those who trust in Christ. So again, the pattern repeats across time. We're just seeing this on the same cycle over and over and over again. Let's go ahead and continue on with verses 6 through 9. Be strong and of good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide an inheritance the land, which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law, which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand nor to the left, that thou mayest prosper whitherso thou goest. This book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. And then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. So here we encounter the repeated command, be strong and of good courage. But it's not repetition for emphasis. It's repetition because each instant demands a different kind of courage. So, examples. Verse 6, that's the courage to act, right? He needs to act to inherit it, step into the promise rather than merely admire it from afar. Verse 7 is the courage to obey. And this is intensified when it says, very courageous. Because obedience, especially under pressure, is often harder than going into battle. Now, verse 8, that's the courage to meditate, right? To keep the law on your lips day and night. The Hebrew word, Hagah, it means to mutter, to growl, or to chew. So it's a command to internalize the truth so deeply that it shapes your perception of reality. And this is given to a military commander on the eve of war. So what the text is really trying to say here is your inner world must be ordered before you can order anything outside yourself. And then verse 9 is courage against collapse. So the Hebrew word for dismayed, it means shattered. So like psychologically broken. God is acknowledging the real possibility of a sort of internal fragmentation, right? To completely spin out of control. And he answers it with presence. I am with you wherever you go. So courage here is not any sort of like internalized self-confidence. It's a relational confidence grounded in companionship with the divine, to know that God is with you, and through him you can do all things that he has asked of you. That's a confidence that you can't build yourself. It takes that relationship with God. Let's do verses 10 and 11. Then Joshua commanded the officers of the people, saying, pass through the host, and command the people, saying, prepare you victuals, for within 3 days ye shall pass over this Jordan, to go in to possess the land which the Lord your God giveth you to possess. Now the command moves outward, right? Joshua has received his charge, and now he transmits it. And again, notice the pattern. Courage, it flows down the hierarchy, just as the message does. God to Joshua, Joshua to the officers. then the officers down to the people. So Joshua tells them to prepare provisions. That's crucial, because in this case, faith is also not passivity, right? It's a disciplined readiness. So the same God who promises his presence, he also expects his people to pack their bags, to make their bed, to prepare for things, right? To do their share. So courage and preparation, they're not opposites. They're partners in this situation. Okay. Going to continue 12 to 15. And to the Reubenites and to the Gadites and to half the tribe of Manasseh spake Joshua, saying, Remember the word which Moses the servant of the Lord commanded you, saying, The Lord your God hath given you rest, and hath given you this land. Your wives, your little ones, your cattle shall remain in the land which Moses gave you on this side at Jordan. But ye shall pass before your brethren armed, all the mighty men of valor, and help them, until the Lord have given your brethren rest, as he hath given you, and they also have possessed the land which the Lord your God giveth them. Then ye shall return unto the land of your possession and enjoy it, which Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you on this side at Jordan towards the sun rising. So here Joshua, he's addressing the tribes who settled east of the Jordan. Their story, it actually goes back to Numbers 32, right? It's a negotiation with Moses that could have gone disastrously wrong, right? But they pledged to fight alongside their brothers before returning home. So Joshua now calls that promise forward. And the principle underneath, it's profound. Just because you have received your blessing doesn't mean your responsibility is finished. So covenant is also communal. Your rest is incomplete until your brothers can share in it. And this is a pattern that runs straight into modern discipleship as well. So personal spiritual success never exempts you from communal obligations. I would say quite the opposite, particularly when you notice your callings, right? You cross the river armed, not because you need the land, but because your people do. Okay. Let's do 16 to 18 now. And they answered Joshua, saying, All that thou commandest us we will do, and whithersoever thou sendest us we will go. According as we hearken unto Moses in all things, so will we hearken unto thee. Only the Lord thy God will be with thee, as he was with Moses. Whosoever he be that doth rebel against thy commandment, and will not hearken unto thy words in all that thou commandest him, he shall be put to death. Only be strong and of a good courage. So, yeah, the response of the tribes, it's remarkable. It's amazing, right? They pledge total obedience, even invoking a curse on themselves if they fail. Like, this is loyalty at a level that modern readers often struggle to comprehend, particularly in a world that seems to be very devoted to the self, we shall say. And then the reversal. Only be strong and of good courage. So the people speak the command back to Joshua. The chain of speech is reversing, right? This is a mutual commissioning, a two-way covenant of responsibility. Now, leadership in the biblical world is never unilateral. It's relational, right? The leader strengthens the people, and the people strengthen the leader. And we see that this pattern echoes through Israel's history and through the life of even the church today. All right. Let's go ahead and let's see here. Continue on here, actually. So the response of the tribes is remarkable. It's truly amazing. They pledge total obedience, even invoking a curse on themselves if they fail. Like, this is a loyalty at the level that modern readers often struggle to comprehend. And then there's the reversal. Only be strong and of good courage. Yeah, the people, they speak the command back to Joshua. The chain of speech, it reverses. This is a mutual commissioning, a two-way covenant of responsibility. So leadership in the biblical world is never unilateral. It's relational. The leader strengthens the people, and the people strengthen the leader. So this pattern echoes through Israel's history and through the life of even the church today. All right. So that is all of our verses today, day 1. So what do we take from here? Well, it's Joshua chapter 1 is not just a narrative, right? It's an installation ceremony, a ritualized transfer of authority. Now, the repeated command is part of an ancient liturgical structure. It's echoed in other Near Eastern texts and later in Israel's own history. So each repetition of the strong and courageous, it addresses a different dimension of the human psyche, right? So action, obedience, inner resilience, and mutual responsibility. 3 come from God, and 1 comes from the people. And that's an important ratio, right? It tells us something. See, most courage flows downward from the divine, but some flows upward from the community. And both, they are necessary. And some things to think about too. The name Joshua is Yehoshua, and it means the Lord saves. Now, over centuries, it changed and shortened. It becomes Yeshua. And in Greek, Jesus, right? In English, Jesus. So the New Testament authors knew exactly what they're doing when they drew parallels between Joshua and Christ, between Yehoshua and Yeshua. Joshua leads Israel into a temporary rest. Christ leads his people into the ultimate salvific one. And it's the same divine formula, courage grounded in presence, and it echoes across dispensations. The Lord commands the disposition, not the motions, right? He doesn't promise ease, but he does promise us accompaniment. He will be there with us every step of the way, so we can truly be strong and of a good courage. Now, most of us won't lead armies, but all of us will face thresholds in our life, moments where the old world ends and the new one hasn't yet begun. And there's a pattern that still holds for us too. Meditate on the word, trust the presence, and walk forward. Because with the Lord and the presence of the Holy Spirit, we truly can do all the things that he commands of us. See, the leader who reads is the leader who lasts, and the person who internalizes truth is the one who can withstand the psychological storms that inevitably come. So this week, or today, here's a challenge for you. Choose one verse from this chapter, 6, 7, 8, or 9, one of those 4 verses, and put it somewhere that you'll see every morning this week. And don't do it as a decoration. Do it as a form of discipline. Mutter it under your breath, right? Chew on it. Let it shape the way that you confront the world. You might be surprised what changes. And if a verse jumps out at you that I didn't cover today, drop it in the comments. I read them, and the conversation in the comments is one of the best parts of this study. And let me know how all this goes for you, because it's always fantastic. Now, tomorrow, day 2, we're going to read Joshua chapter 2. It's Rahab and the spies. And we're also going to have the first deep dive subject of the week. And we're going to meet it head on. It's about a Canaanite woman, 2 Israelite scouts, and a confession of faith that lands her 3 generations later in the line of David. And it is one of the strangest, yet most theologically dense chapters in the Old Testament. So, and if you haven't picked up the song for this week yet, Be Strong and of Good Courage, it's up, and you get it here on YouTube, as well as a link for the MP3. Again, it's an anthemic full pop song. It plays well in the car, and it was written to go with our study this week. It helps keep you track of the stories and the lessons, keeps it all in mind, right? The music is to help you easily call back to what you've learned. So go get it in the links to listen or to take it with you, and tell me how it influences your study and your thought on the scriptures this week. And that's all I have for you today. So I'll see you back here tomorrow. And until then, as always, I appreciate you and thank you for choosing to spend some of your precious time to come listen with me.
Good courage, lift that sword. As for me and my